Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sports. If you've just finished watching Bakole versus Hunter, I'm in as much shock as you are watching this. I mean, the first question we've got to ask ourselves is, how the hell did we get here? How do we get to this point? We've seen Martin Bakole getting stopped in the last round of a 10th round fight, 10-round fight against Michael Hunter. How did we get here? That's the question, boxing fans. There are many questions to be asked and many questions that need to be answered. Now, just before this fight began, I did interview James Bashir. He didn't know who Martin Bakole is, and actually, behind the scenes, I was trying to get sparring for Sorenko and Bakole, so Billy Nelson and Uncle Bashir would talk to make it happen. That's the kind of things that I kind of do behind the scenes sometimes. And I've heard many great news, lots of news about Martin Bakole. Heard fantastic news, great sparring partner. I met Martin Bakole. Let me get something first straight. Martin Bakole is a gentleman. He is a lovely guy. He's like a big teddy bear. And Billy Nelson's a wonderful guy as well. Both guys I met personally, face to face, up close, and they're really nice people. So let me get that clarified first before I jump into the criticism. Let me get that straight. And a credit to Martin Bakole to even do the 10 rounds with the injury that he had and go out there and you know, against his better judgment, he went out there and listened back to trusted his trainer to go out there to try and do a Danny Williams. Those people who see Danny Williams had his shoulder out, and he still ended up knocking Mark Potter out. If you've never seen that video, check it out. Danny Williams versus Mark Potter. Check it out. I saw his shoulder come out, dislocated, and with his left hand, he knocked at Mark Potter. So it can be done. But let's move on. Now, before this fight actually happened, about half an hour beforehand, for those of you who joined me earlier on, I was talking to Uncle James Ali Bashir, and Uncle Bashir was talking about Bakole, and I was talking about Michael Hunter. He said Michael Hunter is a difficult opponent. He's tricky, he's dangerous, he's got tricks, and he can punch. That's what he said. So I talked about Bakole, and my thoughts of Bakole was, I thought he was going to be like the new president, the new Ike Ikeabuchi. That's what I kept thinking he was going to be. But oh, how wrong I was. Now, you know, where do we begin with all this? Let's go back. Let's take it back. Bakole sparring with Anthony Joshua, chief sparring partner for Anthony Joshua. You know, going back and forth with Anthony Joshua, giving Joshua tough sparring sessions, tough sparring sessions, and holding his own against Anthony Joshua. Spar with Daniel Dubois. You know, he'd been a handful for both of those guys, so the reports say. So, you know, that being said, you go into the fight thinking to yourself, watching this fight, thinking, well, Hunter, yeah, he can punch, but this is Martin Bakole, and he's taking Joshua's best, and he's taking Dubois' best. So, but the one thing you don't take into consideration is, you know, the Hunter had fought as a heavyweight before, and he had fast hands. And something that you, from cruiserweight moving up to heavyweight, is an issue. So I'm taking us back a bit before we go forward to try and find out what's happened here. Now, Billy Nelson was on our show Friday night. Friday night he was on our show, and I interviewed him, and things seemed well. He was talking about Martin Bakole, how Bakole would be. He was sparring Hughie Fury as well, and I spoke to Peter Fury. No, I spoke to Peter Fury. Actually, I spoke to Nelson on Thursday. I spoke to Peter Fury on Friday, and Peter said that Bakole, very good fighter as well. And a lot of credit to Billy Nelson and to Martin Bakole. This is what Peter Fury was saying about Bakole, that he's a very good fighter, very dangerous fighter. Barry McGuigan was saying this guy's a very good fighter, but he did state also Bakole is lazy. Now, at the press conference, Bakole was looking into Michael Hunter's eyes. Michael Hunter wasn't intimidated. So Bakole comes to the ring. There's something that Jim Watt said. I remember when Evander Holyfield fought Rick Bowe for the second time. And he said this. He says, you can't prepare for a war when you're in the middle of one. So Bakole, was he prepared for a war with Michael Hunter? Did he really believe that Michael Hunter was going to give him the sort of technical issues that he did? Did he think that Michael Hunter would have the heart and the guts to fight him back? Because if Bakole wasn't thinking that from the start, then in his training, he would have put 100%. Then in his mental setup, when he was coming to the ring, he would have thought, I'm just going to get in there like I did against all these other guys. I'll just trot around. I'll do what I've got to do. And then I land a big punch. I'll land a successive amount of punches, and this guy will fall over. But I think probably from the first round, he probably got buzzed with a couple of shots. He might have been hurt, but he must have got buzzed by Hunter and made Hunter realize, we're in a fight. It's always an interesting sign when you see a guy suddenly start giving the fighter credit by, first of all, they go back when they're going back to the corner, they bounce shoulders against one another. There's some resistance and the spirit is still there. But when you start seeing that fighter conceding and started tapping the other shoulder and giving the other fighter credit and smiling at the other fighter, those are the signs right there. And then your work rate starts to decrease. Those are the signs right there that things are not going well. The fitness of Martin Bakole is the first thing that's got to be brought into question. What was going on with his fitness? Even for the minute he started, the way he started the first round, standing like a statue, looking at Michael Hunter. Michael Hunter's going to be a mover. You're going to be jumping on Michael Hunter from the first round. Then he allows Michael Hunter to hit. He was getting hit with the right hand over and over and over again. And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking to myself, hold on a second. Billy Nelson's telling me he would give Hughie Fury a great fight. He's ready for Anthony Joshua. He's ready for the top heavyweights in the world. And I'm watching this, I'm thinking, wait, is this the same guy you're telling me that's ready to take on the best fighters in the world that you've been talking about? So I'm sitting there confused. I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's a slow start. Maybe he's trying to work out Michael Hunter. And let's not discredit Michael Hunter here and his skill set and his boxing ability and his jab and his movement and his willingness to throw punches and engage. And even when Bakole hit him with them big bombs, Hunter was still there and willing to fight. These are things we have to take into consideration. Because at the end of the day, I think we have to take into consideration Michael Hunter's ability. If it wasn't Michael Hunter in the ring right there tonight, we wouldn't be talking about it. So we have to give Michael Hunter the utmost respect. Boxing ability. And if you listen to the coverage before the fight, people said, Michael Hunter, he's a small guy. Michael Hunter, he's this. Michael Hunter's that. Michael Hunter's the other. And now they turn around and say, we should have expected it from Michael Hunter. Michael Hunter is a good fighter. Michael Hunter was a good fighter from the start, right? And he got beat by Alexander Usyk. But Usyk, as you've seen, is a world-class operator. There's no doubt about Usyk, undisputed cruiserweight champion in the world. And he's going to give the heavyweights a lot of problems, But this fight tonight, Bakole was too easy to hit. He had no answer he couldn't block the right hand. He was prepared to walk through the right hand and kept getting hit right and over and over again. His fitness was disgusting. I mean, after about 3 rounds, he was puffing and blowing out his ass. So I'm kind of wondering what is going on here. This is a guy that everyone's saying is going to be, I saw in one article, the next Riddick Bowe. I don't want to be digging into Bakole like this, but aside of being a nice guy, this is boxing we're talking here. And we have to say, either his mind wasn't on the job or he wasn't prepared. Either way, that's not acceptable, for what's going on. I don't know what's happened with Bakole behind closed doors. I don't know. I do know that he's been here on a visa. You know, he's had to apply for visa to be here to do what he's doing. So as the rounds are going by, more and more pressure is heaping on Bakole. Right? And he keeps getting hit with shots and keeps getting hit with shots and keeps getting outboxed. I mean, there were moments in the fight you thought, okay, he's getting there. He's getting there. But Hunter kept hitting with a jab. And the thing is, when you move up in class and you start to move up in levels, when you start to move up in levels, the things that you do against the lower level opposition, you can't get away with. So Bakole was turning southpaw. He was getting clocked with shots. He was overreaching with the jab. He was getting hit with the right hand. He was throwing the right hand. He was getting hit with uppercut on the inside. All the lazy things that Bakole would do against other opposition, he was getting nailed with against a good fighter, a good top-level fighter. Okay? So, you know, there's a reason why Michael Hunter was at the Olympics. And you know, even though he got beat in the Olympics, there was a reason why I said he had some skill level. Bakole never went to the Olympics. Bakole had, you know, his amateur career, we don't know anything. They call him a novice amateur. So there are some serious questions to be asked. And then let's talk about the shoulder. His shoulder went, but I think, and this is a tough call here, but I think Hunter had already beat the spirit or beat the life out of Bakole. The when I say the life, I mean the spirit of Bakole was already broken before, you know, the shoulder went. I think the shoulder was just, you know, after throwing loads of big swings. And the other thing about Hunter, I'm not sure if people were aware of it. If they were, great. I noticed when shots were being thrown, big shots from Bakole, Hunter would turn his head away just before the punch would land. So he'd slip his head away. So Bakole basically was hitting thin air. And a big guy being made to throw big swings like that all the time, of course you're going to overcommit when you're trying to load a big right hand up. You're getting, and you're not hitting anything. There's a possibility you can dislocate your shoulder. And this is what happened with Bakole as well. So, you know, when I look at all these things, it's not great. It's not great. Then the shoulder goes, he goes back to the corner, and Billy Nelson's telling him you're blowing it, trying to inspire his fighter, and just says, no, nothing there. Because like, I don't want to go out. I don't want to go out for the next round. And like he's saying, no, you can't do this. You're not a quitter. You've got to go out there and fight. And I understand Billy Nelson in that sense because he believes in his fighter. But, you know, you can believe in your fighter more than he believes in himself. And that is what happened there. And in that 10th round, look, I think Hunter could have stopped Bakole regardless of the shoulder because he was still tagging Bakole with big shots. Bakole wasn't answering them big shots. He had no defense for that right hand. So he would have still got nailed with the right hand in the 10th round. He might have been able to block a few more shots. But the writing was on the wall of him getting stopped because of them big right hands he kept taking over and over and over again. So Hunter was chopping and chopping and chopping and chopping. And I thought Hunter was gone in a couple of rounds before. He looked knackered. And then he came out in the 10th round like a Duracell battery, like new Duracell battery be put inside him. And he came out and stopped Bakole. So now questions have to be asked about Bakole's fitness. Has to be asked about his defense. Had to be asked about his mentality, you know, his discipline. And more importantly, has Bakole even got a career? I mean, after that, there are going to be serious questions going to be asked. Bakole's going to be asking his trainer, well, what is this? My shoulder's injured. I didn't want to fight. I've now gone out and got stopped. If I'd quit in the stool, then hey, I could have quit in the stool. I could have had my shoulder. But still, I said an injury to my shoulder. And that would have been that. And I could have come and got a rematch in about half a year's time and maybe come back and beat Michael Hunter. But now I've been stopped by a cruiserweight. I've been stopped by a cruiserweight. I've been stopped by a guy that's 3 stone lighter than me. I mean, and just think to yourself, just for a second, imagine him getting hit like that by Deontay Wilder. Or getting hit by Anthony Joshua. I mean, and he was getting hit with clean right hands. I don't know what was going on there. Do you know, I sit down and I think to myself, well, let's even take this back even further. Why Michael Hunter? I mean, why take on Michael Hunter? He's a mover. He slips and slides and goes to the side. He's like all wrong for Bakole.
Bakole would have probably been better fighting someone like Eric Molina. But having said that, or Dominic Brazil, or but even those guys, or a Miller. But having said that, these guys would have been hitting Bakole with right hands all night long. And yeah, Bakole might have landed his right hand, but he might have got knocked out by them guys too. I'm not joking, because Bakole can't get out of the way of a right hand. He was sloppy. He was lazy. This is no reflection on the man outside the ring, but inside the ring, I don't know if he can come back. I don't know if he can come back. In fact, I don't want to see Bakole back in the ring again, at least for another 6 months to a year. I'm serious. I don't want to see him for a year. He needs to go away. He needs to have a serious think about whether he wants to be in boxing. And then he needs to think to himself, okay, I do want to be in boxing. Then I need to buckle down, and I need to think to myself, you know what? Not just because I'm a big guy and I can take a punch and I can punch that I'm going to become a world champion. That, this licking he took tonight was a sort of licking that guys don't come back from, because he didn't just get knocked out one shot. Remember, this guy took a sustained amount of punches round after round after round after round, had his heart broken, shoulder gone off. So there are going to be some question marks in that dressing room. So God knows what's going around Bakole's head. I got stopped by a cruiserweight. That's what people will tell him. I got stopped by a cruiserweight. My chin's in question. My stamina's in question. My trainer's in question. And as for Billy Nelson, he believed in his fighter more than the fighter believed in himself. So it kind of makes Billy Nelson look like a bit of a... It's put Billy Nelson out there now in a kind of way, because Billy Nelson's... All he's been doing is singing the praise of his fighter, which is what any trainer would do. But unfortunately, it's kind of like that. It's kind of like that situation with Chris Eubank Sr. with Chris Eubank Jr. When Chris Eubank Sr. turned around and said, my fighter is going to be, Chris Eubank Jr. is going to be better than Floyd Mayweather. So anyway, I think I'm going to stop. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I mean, people are going to sit down. I'm stopping. I'm going to stop saying what I say. Let me go through this now and see what you've got to say, because really, you, the people tuning in, it's more important. Outstanding for a heavyweight scrap. Yes, it was outstanding, but for all the wrong reasons, Lawrence Williams. That Billy Nelson, says Tyrone Smith, is something else. Just to save face for all the stuff he said about Bakole, he pushes him out there with one arm, even though he was begging to stop. Yes, I understand that. But if he didn't do that, then, that's why I said Billy Nelson had more faith in his fighter than his fighter had in himself. And let's also remember that Danny Williams was in a similar situation. He knocked out Mark Potter, with Sir Isaac Chamberlain win a fight as well with one shoulder, with shoulder being dislocated, put it back in and win a fight. So different people can take different amounts of pain. How much do you want it? This is it. Ritson fight. Yep, Ritson, yes, is fighting. I'll have to fight about that afterwards. I'm gobsmacked, says Mick D. Well, I would be too, after all the stuff Billy Nelson's been saying. And that's the reason. Marky BS said, Bakole got his eye broken from the first bell. That, can't argue there, mate. I really can't. One is quitting later rounds, quite possibly looking for the back door. Davey Wilson, 21, says, Nelson should be ashamed of himself. He forced an injured fighter to go back in there when he didn't want to. After giving a big one for so long, he was almost too embarrassed to pull him out. The Iceman. Listen, Iceman, I'm going to have to bring you on. I've stuck 50 quid on Hunter for a laugh. Great assault for me. Poor Mark. Well, good on you, mate. Good on you. Davey Wilson, damn right, says Tyrone Smith. Marky BA says, Nelson knew he wasn't injured. That's why he sent him out. Bakole wanted to quit. Wow. Mick D says, Billy thinks Bakole is the best thing since sliced bread, but they will change their tune. Well, sliced bread. Well, that bread got burnt. It got well and truly burnt. And That sliced bread turned into toast, and the fire alarm is going off now, and the fire brigade is coming around to put out a bloody inferno. That's what's going on with that toast. Bacole's management look like fools. LOL. That is Cyclone, isn't it? He told his call and his shoulder went, yep. I mean Danny Williams, yes indeed. Nelson still set him out. Billy Nelson should be denied his license. Wow, that's another big call. He wanted a wire. You've seen it. Bakole had his heart broke. And Tyrone says, I feel so sorry, Bakole. He's a big African teddy bear. Oh, but you're right. BWTM, do you accept Bitcoin donations? If not, do you want to learn how? Let me know. Thanks. Yeah, I would love to know about Bitcoin. Let's talk about it more, Anthony. Send me an email. info@BWTM online. Bitcoin is worthless. Go away. Oh, dear. Wow, Bakole lost the hunter. Yeah, he did. Ingram, you need to have a proper sit down with Bakole and tell him exactly what you're going through. We all know the context you have. We all know you have the context to do this. Do you know what? I'm getting to the point, boxing fans. Tonight, I've got something to reveal to you. Tonight, I'm going to just tell you. There was a fighter that I was going to be managing, right? I'll tell you the story. This fighter wanted me to manage him, yeah? And I'd set up for him training, right? I'd set up a strength and conditioning session for him. I'd set up some top class training with him, and I'd set him up with a trainer who is attached to a world class fighter, right? I had that all set up for him. We have the coach booked, we have the hotel booked, we have everything booked for Monday. This guy, Dan, turns around and tells his brother, who's paid all this money for him to get out and for us to get it. Yeah, he tells his brother, nah, you know what? I just want to stay in my town. I want to stay in my town. This man flew from one country to another country, to the UK, European that is, and he says that. I'm like, what the hell is this? You know what? I'm getting to that point where I'm one of these guys. Let me explain something to you, boxing fans and people that may know me. I'm one of these kind of people. It's like this. My whole life has been about when I see something and I think I could do something better or I think I can make a change, I put myself in a situation. Listen, I started off at one point, I was in the nightclub industry, right? And I was only working as a barman. And I saw the way the manager at the time was treating people. This is a 1,500 capacity nightclub in Brighton. Yeah. One of the top clubs in Brighton at the time. And I didn't like the way he was treating people. But unfortunately for me at the time, I was doing the bar stuff. I was fine because I got on well with the manager. I got my shifts. I got paid well. I got overtime, all the rest of it. But I didn't like the way he treated other people. Didn't like the way he was disrespectful to people. You know what I mean? And I said, if I ever got the job as to be an assistant manager, I would treat people with respect and all the rest of it. Well, guess what? My time came. I became assistant manager of that same 1,500 capacity nightclub. And there was an incident, it was a situation where there was some sick in the toilet, yeah? And this was my moment. All my staff were looking at me at the time. I said, they're sick in the toilet. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go and clean the sick. So I went, at the end of we locked in, I went in and I went and cleaned up the stuff in the toilet. I cleaned it up and I made all my staff watch me, see me get my hands on my knees and I cleaned the crap up. Same thing happened. There was sick in the club, right? In a corner. Again, that same evening, that same morning, I made sure my staff all sat down and watched me do it. I said, well, listen, what I'm telling you to do, I've done it myself. You've seen me do it. My shirt, my tie, pull my tie off, take my jacket off, hands, roll up, done it. People look at me in the nightclub, look at it. Other people in management look at me, what are you doing that for? I said, listen, this is set an example. Not do as I say, do as I've done. So, you know, and for that time, you know, there was a huge amount of respect for the time while I was working at a nightclub. And I you know, in the industry, I could go on and tell you so many different stories of situations where I've gone and done that. And because of, there's always been an idiot or somebody I've seen I've kind of lost respect for. I digress to say, you know what? I would not be surprised one day that I find myself inside boxing management. I'm getting to that point where I'm seeing so much things happening from the. I know it's going to be difficult getting on the inside, but I'm seeing so many things, and the sort of contacts I've got, I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I mean, if I need world-class trainers, it's there. Do you know what? It's getting to that point, boxing fans. It really is. But anyway, let me go back to see what people are saying. Forget what I'm saying. He fought like a journeyman. He fought like a bloody sparring partner, Shoaib. Imagine what Usyk would do to Bakole. Well, he said that Bakole would have problems. No, he said Bakole would give Usyk problems. I listened to Billy Nelson say he's faster than Wilder and stood up to AJ's punches in sparring just yesterday. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's all I can say about that. Bakole was injured and miles behind on the cards. Putting him back in there was ridiculous. One thing we've learned tonight is Big Audley has more power and heart than Bakole. Wow. Billy Nelson will have a bedroom up. Will have a bedroom up the rank first thing Monday morning. Big Martin will be moving out after this. You're just wrong. You're just wrong, Davey. Billy Nelson is a joke. He refused to pull him out to save his own image. Joshua would have killed them both in a round. I don't think Joshua would have killed them in a round. I can't remember the last time Joshua knocked a guy in a round. I think he would have knocked. He probably would have stopped these guys. I think Hunter would have given Joshua some problems because of his movement and everything. I think Bakole would have walked in straight lines and would have got nailed by Joshua. I can't work out for the life of me how this guy was giving Joshua rounds. I don't get it. Unless Joshua wasn't hitting with big flush right hands. I don't understand. I don't get it. Or Joshua's been knocking the stuffing out of this guy. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand. All fun and games, Ingram. The geezer anointed the Geordie Golovkin by Eddie Hearn has been KO'd. What? He's been KO'd. Oh, no. I didn't bother tuning in to watch, to be honest. That towel in the corner had more action than Bakole did the whole fight. Whose fault? Whose fault is it Bakole or Nelson? Bakole. Forget Nelson. Bakole. Because the whole approach from the first round of the fight, the way Bakole came up from the first round, he didn't change from that point. So I don't blame Nelson. I blame Bakole. Nelson just backed his fighter, and that's that. And Tyson would look at that and say a bunch of dosses. I'd love to hear what Peter Fury thought of this. I really would. No more hype around Bakole, please. Embarrassing. Don't even want him on the show again. Disgusting fraud. And same with Lewis Ritson, Geordie Golovkin, my ass. 2 big losses tonight. I'm not laughing at Bakole, but I didn't bother watching Ritson. I didn't bother watching Ritson for 1 second. As Tyson say, a bunch of dosses. Bakole got bullied by someone who's 3 stone lighter. I said that, Michael. I've said it earlier on. Ritson just lost 2. I know. Imagine the odds on Ritson and Bakole losing tonight. Back to the job centre for Nelson Monday morning. You guys are just wrong. Wrong, I tell you. Bakole got found out early. You guys are wrong. Absolutely wrong. You're tearing into Nelson. And I don't think you tearing into Nelson, but you've got to understand the psyche of a trainer. This guy's seen Bakole. He's obviously seen Bakole do things. McGuigan's obviously seen, and Peter Fury's no mug. So, something must have gone wrong somewhere. Was it Bakole? Was it in fitness? How long did Nelson have with Bakole? Was Bakole in Africa? Look, there's another thing you need to take into consideration as well. And let's take the heat off Nelson a second. African fighters. There are some African fighters, I know that because of their visa, they can only come at a certain time. How long was Bakole in the country? I don't know. I know he was sparring with Joshua. I just don't know. And you remember, if he's been sparring and preparing and sparring with Joshua, Joshua is not who you prepare with to fight Michael Hunter. You just don't. You've got different attributes. Joshua was never a cruiserweight. Hunter was a cruiserweight. Coming up to heavyweight, so he's got that natural speed and movement. So I remember Billy Nelson said he wasn't a sparring partner for Anthony Joshua. He was using Anthony Joshua for his own career. Well, that's backfired then, if that's the case. So I just don't know. We can fix it after the fight. You guys are just wrong. Well, I tell you, there's a lot to be fixed after the fight. And I'll tell you something now. Jim will not be able to fix it for Bakole and Nelson. I don't think so. One great man would say, this is reckless boxing for Bakole. This is reckless boxing. Look at Bakole. Bakole. Look at Bakole. Arm punches. This is reckless boxing for Bakole. That's what Jim Watt would be saying right now. Jim Watt was with us now, and he was watching this. I'd love to hear what Jim Watt would be thinking. This is reckless. Oh, Hunter's getting control. Oh, it's gone. It's gone, Reg. It's gone. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if Jim Watt was commentating on that? Wow. Oh, dear. I mean, there's going to be some people looking at dressing room, looking at one another, thinking to themselves, what happened here? Nelson told Bakole in the corner. Bakole was the guy beating Danny Dubois up my ass. Bakole had the movement of a wall. Oh dear. Steve Cullen reached for sparring, needed for sparring. Yeah, I would have said that. I'm not shocked by the fight, but I am by this video as I'm watching the fight on Channel 5. What +1 for F's sake. You shouldn't be, should you? Oh. Tabiti. Half Nelson. Lots of fighters look great in the gym and can't take it into the ring. David Price is the biggest example of this. The lights were on, but nobody was at home. Teddy Atlas. Nelson should be put in a Nelson for them comments. Oh dear. I don't know. I really don't know. I understand what Billy Nelson was trying to do. I do. People say he was trying to save face. Well, okay, you can't argue that one way or the other of that. But what I will stand up for Billy Nelson is that he's seen something in Martin Bakole. And it's like, it'll be like me watching somebody, a sports person that I've worked with, a player. I've said, you know what? Just give me, like in cricket, give me one more over. Give me one more over. Oh, but I'm tired, coach. Give me one. I just need one more over from you. And then sometimes he bowls up one over and he bowls that magic ball and he takes a wicket. Give me one more over. When Angelo Dundee was with Sugar Ray Leonard, and Angelo turned around to Sugar Ray Leonard and said, "You're blowing it, son. You're blowing it." And Thomas Hearns was ahead in the fight, and Leonard got off the stool and stopped Hearns in that round. I mean, that was a great moment. James Toney, when he was fighting Michael Nunn, way behind on points, and Nunn's corner said to him, "Listen, this is the 12th. I think it's 12th and final round." And he said, "Whatever you just don't get caught." And he ends up getting caught. So Billy Nelson said Ritson would have a better career than Josh Kelly. That's not looking good by Billy Nelson's again. Willie Nelson says, best thing the night was Dave Allen getting a first round win against another Dosser Bum City. Oh dear. Bakole needed fireman's speech in the corner from Teddy. That wouldn't have helped. Billy Nelson also once seen something in Gary Cornish. Uh-oh. Ritson can't box like that with no head movement. Well, that's what happens if you box, you've got no head movement. Generally, I'm not interested in you. Slick's talking sentence again, my man. Nelson needs balls kicked at his face by Reese Nelson. The comeback, Audley Harrison versus Martin Bakole, headline of York Hall. 10th round KO versus none by Tony. Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't know what to say, us boxing fans, but this fight right here I hope doesn't haunt Billy Nelson. I hope this fight here doesn't haunt Billy Nelson. I hope the corner work of Billy Nelson saying we can fix that later doesn't haunt Billy Nelson. If Martin Bakole stays with Billy Nelson after this fight, he is loyal to his trainer. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, after that performance, you know, Nelson could turn and say, "You embarrassed me tonight. You embarrassed me tonight." I don't know what to think, boxing fans, but there's a hell of a lot to think about. This boxing sport isn't easy. Martin Bakole, I will say this much. I'm not going to sit down and laugh at you. I will just say boxing's a hard sport. Sure, you can come back. Sure, you can even go on to become a world champion. But not in this state. Lazy or lacking motivation, or you can't perform under the lights, or whatever it may be. This version of you is not going anywhere soon, anywhere. There needs to be another version of you. I don't know if you and Billy Nelson have reached your limit and you need to find a new trainer. I don't know if it's a new trainer or it's your mindset or the fact that you just don't want it. And when it heat cuts on you, you just don't want it. Maybe you're not cut out to be a top level fighter. I don't know. And it's not for me to make those judgment calls. I can only speculate. And the speculations I have so far is the jury's totally out on Martin Bakole. But I'll tell you this much. I would manage Martin Bakole. I would manage Martin Bakole. And do you know what I'd do with Martin Bakole? I'd take his ass and I'd hand him over to Ali Bashir. That's what I would do. And Ali Bashir would get him, lose that weight, lighter on his feet. And the thing is, I'm not saying Ali Bashir is a miracle worker because he's got some things to work with. He seems to have a decent chin there, Bakole, and he seems to have a big punch there. The head move, it was no head movement, moving in straight lines. So I think he's got something there, Bakole. But sometimes I don't know. He's a guy I'd look at. I don't know who else. Trainers. I'd certainly give him a defense, and I think Bakole. Me, I would work Bakole and give him the cross arm defense. I'd like to see Bakole with the cross arm defense as well. Bakole against Dave Allen. What happens, Ingram? Break that fight down. Listen, Bakole was supposedly offered Dave Allen the fight, and Dave Allen didn't want to know. Joe Joyce was offered the fight, and Joe Joyce didn't want to know. That's according to Billy Nelson. Now, those questions need to be asked again. Dave Allen beats Bakole and Akole. Nelson gassed Bakole up. Gassed Bakole up through you. You know that, Ingram. Yeah, I know. So he did pick him up. I understand. Now, don't come with this world champion crap again, Ingram. You did this with Price as well. Don't even start LOL. Yeah, I'm saying, I think, yes, but remember what I said. Price would have to make changes. He never made them damn changes. He never made them damn changes. I think you have to make the adjustments and make the changes. I mean, let's think to ourselves. Back when Lennox Lewis was KO'd by McCall, there are guys that have been knocked out before and have come back. But the thing about Bakole is he's taken a bad, sustained beating over the 10 rounds. So mentally, he's messed there. Psychologically, he's messed up. That's what is going to be a problem there. World champion of Dossers, maybe. Take nothing away from Hunter tonight. He was very impressive. I doubt it will happen. But with Cyclone Link, Bakole should have Shane McGuigan as his trainer. Don't know if McGuigan can help him. Honestly, Nelson knew Bakole wanted a way out. That's why he sent him out. Yep. Bakole wanted to quit. Brother Macabo was KO'd early in his career and worked his way back up in the fight. The great value for the title. Yep. Arsene Bakole to Porky's corner first style and even looks like him. No, we'll see. I'll send Bakole to Porky's corner for some home truths. Laugh my head out. Okay. Bakole looked like Makabu. Same style, even looks like him as his brother. Ingram, don't you think Bakole wanted a way out? Nelson knew the injury was not genuine. Quite possibly. Quite possibly. If that's the case, the other thing you've got to think to yourself is, has Bakole done this in sparring before? Because how would Nelson know if he wanted a way out unless he'd been doing sparring before? I mean, he would have got hurt in sparring as well. He would have got hurt a lot more than this against Anthony Joshua for sure, and Dubois. So Bakole also might be one of these guys who one day he's superstar and the next day he's absolute crap. It just might be one of these guys who, on his day, he's a top fighter. Ingram, do you think Bakole wanted a way out? Nelson knew the injury wasn't genuine. Yeah. Bakole versus Tom Nelson. Tom Nelson. Tom Little next, I reckon. Quite possibly. Ingram, I missed the fight. I was watching the Ritson fight. Is it worth my while going back and watching this one you're talking about? Oh, hell yeah. Go back and watch it. I want to go and see the Ritson fight. Nelson telling people Bakole is ready for Joshua and Fury. Imagine if that was Wilder in there tonight. I did mention it earlier. Oh, Spartacus, thanks. He's like Ali Adams. Slick like Muhammad Ali in sparring, then a bum when it comes when the lights on them. Remember the story of Ali Adams? If you only heard the story about Ali Adams, Steve Goodwin, and Don Charles, my God, that's probably a Bayloric classic. If you get a chance to listen to that 3-part series, oh my word, that's probably the funniest stuff I've ever heard. Ali Adams supposedly had an injection in his neck. Don Charles said he had the injection put up his bum. It was absolutely hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Like Teddy Atlas used to say to Joe T, the lights are on, but nobody was home. Ritson fights a cracker. Yep. Right. Hey, if Terence Crawford goes and gets his ass beat tonight as well, it'll be triple L tonight. Not triple G, triple L. So whatever happened to Ali Adams? Question. Good question. I wonder that myself sometimes. Yeah, I don't think there's much more for me to talk about. But if Ritson, people say Ritson got stopped. If you don't move your, I have no interest in watching guys that don't move their head. And I watched Bakole tonight, so I thought he would move his head. He didn't move his head. What are the odds? I don't know what the odds are for tonight, but that Benavidez looks quite tasty. He's got nice long arms. He slashes his punches. I don't know. But Crawford's a different class, though. Bakole versus Ali Adams versus Audley Harrison triple threat match. I now want to see Bakole fight Dave Allen. I do, and I want to see I want to see Bakole fight Joe Joyce as well. Those fights have to happen if Bakole is going to continue his career. Where's Gary Cornish? Scotland needs a heavyweight. I don't know. I think there'll have to be some serious questions asked, and of course, I guess I'm going to have to make that call to Billy Nelson. I at this minute in time, I do feel for Billy Nelson. I really do. I know everyone's quick to knock a situation when it's not right, or all I can say is I hope that this doesn't affect Billy Nelson's career as a trainer, and I hope that Bakole can come again. And I hope that Michael Hunter hasn't ruined his career, because from the outset of things tonight, it looks like Hunter may have ruined a young heavyweight's career tonight. Ritson was being sold as a beast, but we were given horse meat. Oh, he was sold as beef, but we were given horse meat. Eddie's Newcastle pipe dream went up in smoke. Please take the word Golovkin away from any fighter in the UK. Listen, I'm hoping, my boy, the Ghost, Senior Byfield can do the business against Cheeseman. He's got the skills, but we'll have to wait and see whether he can deliver. Ingram, can you get Billy on this week and ask him what happened next? I certainly will do. I certainly will do. I certainly will do. Right, I'm going to get out of here because my phone's been ringing. I don't know who that is. I'm going to find out who it is. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget also to check out Round for Round Boxing. Kelly Pavlik is the new fighter that's part of Round for Round Boxing. Check out our playlist as well. Check out my interview last night with Peter Fury. And also check out my interview with James Ali Bashir. You should have seen Alan Shearer's face sitting ringside knowing he was sold a dream. It's Billy, LOL. I'll check and see if it is. Right, I'm out of here, people. Again, commiserations to Martin Bakole tonight and to Billy Nelson. Where do they both go from here? I don't know. I don't know. And let's not take anything away from Michael Hunter. Where does this position him in the heavyweight division? And he's got some punch power there, and he can move a bit. No, St. James Park fight, I guess. That pay-per-view star's gone down the toilet. Eddie looks pissed. I'm definitely going to tune in to watch that fight now. I'm out of here. Take care.